Hello, my wonderful people. My name is Moo. This is Cari. Say hello, Cari.
Hello, Cari.
And welcome back to Real Thoughts. We're gonna be talking about Maleficent today, but I gotta address this giant cellophane S in the room, Richard Donner. Whether you grew up in the '80s or the '90s or even the thousands, you grew up with this man. We've all seen Superman 2. We've all seen the Goonies, and to a lesser extent, we've all seen Radio Flyer. Radio Flyer. Bleh. Me feel English, that's not possible. But he's also done movies like Lethal Weapon 2 and Scrooged.
Oh, I love
And it hurts my heart so much to know that such a legend is gone.
Yeah,
So
there's no way that we'll be able to go on with our films without having to acknowledge that such a legend isn't with us anymore. Um,
right.
because there aren't going to be films like that anymore. Like you can try and replicate it the best you can, but with a creative mind like his own, it's gonna be different than how it used to be in the film industry.
Exactly. Newer filmmakers will come along. Some will try to imitate the style of Richard Donner, but there can be only one.
Exactly.
Okay, so Maleficent.
This
Oh,
this episode is going to be nothing at all like the first episode. The first episode was happy-go-lucky, amazing, but this one is nothing like that. It's the complete opposite.
okay. Why don't you take us off, Kyrie?
Let's get into it. So, let's start off with our first impressions. In my case, my very first impression was, what is going on here? And I understand the artistic interpretation. You have these dynamic angles and a motion camera action shot, several shots, and it's just a bunch of twists and turns and vibrant colors and everything like that in the very first half. And they kind of immerse you into this fantasy world, but the execution was just absolutely awful. Like, I'm very good with sympathy, and I have an overwhelming amount of sympathy for anything, and I can understand. But with this, the interpretation was just so pushed in the very first shots. It's just like, what the hell were they thinking when they executed this? Like, you had to watch it. Post production had to be done where they reviewed it, edited it, and it seems like it was just done so carelessly. And I'll get into why later because I'm assuming I know why. But it was just awful. It was so hard to watch, even for someone who was absolutely obsessed with fantasy and absolutely obsessed with anything that's outside of the realm of normality. This was hard for me to indulge in. It was just awful for me for first impressions.
I kind of feel the same way, honestly. Maleficent, Mistress of Evil. Okay, honestly, right off the bat, misleading title because Maleficent, uh, she ended up being the hero of the story.
Which,
Yes, I
come
know we
on.
have Princess Aurora, and we'll get to her later. Trust me on that one.
Mm-mm.
I do find it titles such as a rare one as this to be honestly misleading. It almost feels like a betrayal to the audience before the movie even begins. This movie keeps you in the dark, both literally and figuratively.
Oh, yes, with their creative design. Listen, that segment's going to be a long one, so I need you guys to suck it up and stick with us for that one because it's a lot there. It's a lot there.
I mean, the believability of this movie, oh my god, dear sweet child, no. No. this movie attempts to suck you into this world, but it doesn't. It fails miserably at this
And
bullshit.
even if you take into account that it is a fantasy film, it's just not believable to be a fantasy. Like I I I do world building myself, so I understand what the process of starting from nothing, well, close to nothing, starting from a base and building an entire world into it to make it believable. I understand what has to go through that process, and it's given me nothing. Like, believability is far from that, even for a fantasy movie. I could not get myself to believe that this was real. My distraction throughout the whole film was just staring at Maleficent and going, "Oh my goodness, I love her." That's it.
Oh,
That's as
I
close as to indulging in this as I could possibly get into. But you could not, even if you sat me down in a room, brainwashed me completely, and was like, "This is the real world. This is how things are. We're gonna put you there." I could not believe it. I just couldn't.
oh, oh. Okay. Uh, you're talking about believability. I mean, when did the Lord of the Rings come out?
Oh gosh. Let's see.
Yeah, look it up. I mean, the Lord of the Rings has more
1954.
believable.
No,
19 what?
there's one that's 1954, which I think is the original novel.
I'm talking about the
The
movies.
movie itself was 2001.
Okay, so the movie itself came out in 2001. That has better CGI. And this is 2020. This is 19 years after Lord of the Rings, guys. Come on. The believability is not there. The CGI is fucking awful. I mean, even the three little fairies, which you see in other Disney properties, are more believable than the three fairies in this movie.
The Bridge to Terabithia has far realistic CGI and far realistic story building than this latest movie. This is 2007, people.
Yeah.
We have no excuses for like, oh, it's just older CGI, or oh, it's older software, so they don't know that it's not up to date. It's very much up to date, and even earlier films have done far better. So, no excuses.
What about the sets in this movie? Oh my god, the sets.
Okay, here's my gripe. CGI mostly awful. There are some pretty decent CGI, which constitutes as believable.
I will disagree with you on that statement 100%.
Costumes were awful. The costumes look cheap. The props look absolutely cheap. It looks as though this is a kind of a Broadway, like on stage adaptation, even though I've seen much better costuming and set design. But it seems as though they had like a high score production of things and they just threw something together. Because royalty, absolutely awful. But the set designs are not bad to look at. They're not good, but they're not awful to look at. When you get the lighting that you need to see what's in there, granted, it's not bad to look at.
Yeah, I'll 100% agree with you on that. The lighting in this movie is downright awful. You either overcandle, you undercandle, I don't even know how you would undercandle, or you brighten the screen so bright that you could see everything, or you darken the screen so much that you could see nothing.
It was just
This movie does not have a tone.
okay. Let's take a little, a short break to talk about it, right? Here's a
Okay.
little artistic Cari education for you guys. So what they're doing in this film is they're using optical color scheme, which is essentially, say if you are in a room and you change the light bulb from white, which would be your local color scheme, and you change it to yellow, that would be your optical color schemes. They're using these dark colors with these kind of either yellow or green. I think that's Maleficent's color. They're using these
Green
color
is Maleficent's
schemes.
color.
There you go. They're using these green lighting and green color schemes to set off a mood for us, but it's unnecessary. The amount of optical colors that they use in this film. Like it's obnoxiously inconsistent and there's too much of it. Now, granted, there is this scene where the Fays, which are Maleficent species, they're in this cave and the cave has like holes that lead to other sections, and they're in this optical color scheme which has this beautiful set design, and it brings you into this environment of how these fays are living. That is the perfect example of a perfect execution of these color schemes being used. But when you're in a very expensive castle with very expensive royalty and a chandelier standing above you, where are you using candles? Like I don't understand, and I know that it's so Maleficent can blow them all out in this dramatic, who the fuck do you think you're talking to kind of whoosh scene, but it's so unnecessarily drawn out, and it's unnecessary to drive the plot that they're trying to drive. So that's your term of the day, optical color scheme. I use it. I'm gonna be using it a lot in this series for like the artistic breakdowns. So make sure you guys instill that wording in your brain. But this scene just overuses it for no reason. Like they could have not used it and how to put me and Moo in your sets, and we will make your scenes absolutely much better.
I agree. The optical color schemes in this movie were not good. Like you said, the overuse of green was just, oh look, I'm super powerful. This is my fucking color. No, I don't care.
And I get it, it's for
I
consistency, but we don't need it every 10 seconds. It's okay
exactly.
to hide your powers, just a little bit. Gosh, it was so
Look,
much.
I know you're supposedly the hero of this movie, but not even Hercules flexes that much, okay?
Not even Hercules, and he's always flexing his muscles. Like, I don't understand you, Disney. Why do you do this to us? You take your movies, you take your remakes, and absolutely shit on them. Like, okay, looking at it at a child standpoint, if you are possibly someone of a younger generation, how did you feel about this movie? Was it good? Did you like it? Because I'm 100% sure that the takes that they use are to suit a younger audience. But you have to understand that that younger audience is going to be less than your audience who watched the originals. Like as children, maybe I'm hoping that you watch these original Disney films of Maleficent and you watch the originals, and so you're coming back to the new ones to kind of relive your childhood. It ruins that for you. Like it leaves out certain parts. There are hella scenes that are like, how did this happen? Where did she get pricked on the finger? When did she do this? How did they get here? Like there's so many scenes that are just like, when did we miss out on something? Like I went to go check several times and I'm like, hold on, is there another movie before this? Maleficent extra title at the very end. Okay, let's look and see if there's another one. There is nothing else. This is just the film. So where is this piece at? Where did this scene go? Like, did you film it and take it out? That would explain it. But you're missing it. And it's frustrating to watch and be confused as to what's going on. It's very frustrating.
Right. I totally agree with you again. I mean, there's so much missing information in this movie. And there's so much misleading information in this movie. Okay, so take the scene where she poisons or Maleficent and they're at dinner. Okay, they're at dinner and Maleficent gets angry and all of a sudden the king falls over and the queen blames him, but really the queen poisoned him or stabbed him. I don't know. The scene later shows us her stabbing him, but at the end of the dinner scene, she steps on this flower, which we learn later was the poison that would be used to kill the fairies. So did she use that poison from that flower to poison the king and or stab him? What is going on?
Yeah, the implication of certain films to make the audience question and guess, and then we're just completely wrong, and it has nothing to do with the movie at all. Like her stepping on that flower felt significant because they focused in on that singular scene. but we find out that
Right.
it's not significant. Like, they showed these flowers earlier, so we've seen these flowers before. So that gives the audience that key to go, okay, this might be bad. She steps on this flower, and we're like, oh, yep, that's what happened. And then later you're like, no, that's not what happened at all, and this scene is useless. Why is it there then?
Because this entire movie is useless.
Because it's a Disney remake. It's a Disney remake. I expected nothing else.
That's all it ever is, and that's all it ever will be. Look, I watched this movie again to write my notes. I had to sit through this garbage twice.
Oh, I will say, watching it again, I do take a good appreciation to the costumes again. One of the best parts of the movie, because their SFX and prosthetics look more realistic than their expensive CGI. How? I don't know. But the cheeks, her Maleficent's cheek prosthetics look absolutely amazing. Like, they look like they're a part of her face, and it doesn't dramatically change her bone structure enough to go, that looks pretty weird. It emphasizes those cheekbones to go, that kind of looks believable. Even the wings and how they have placed the wings on these beings in like their lower half of their back, the way that they're inserted into the characters, it doesn't take away from the believability. It's like, okay, I can see that. I can see where it's coming from. It kind of makes sense. Like, I absolutely love these scenes, and the face costuming. The only characters that I can say that I enjoyed seeing were the Fays. Their costumes were understandable because of their location and how they've built the story. The way that these beings carry themselves are so relatable, but everything else in this movie is just, what the fuck is this? This makes no sense. Why are you there? This is useless. Why are you doing this to us? The only characters that we're focused in on are these Fae beings, and us as an audience are supposed to hate these beings. We're supposed to resonate with the humans, and they're not even our main characters. Like, I just... Do they want us to be villains? That's what I'm... Help me out here.
Okay.
Help me understand. Are we supposed to be the villains? Are we supposed to hate Maleficent? I don't know. The movie's not giving it for me.
The movie gives us nothing. Okay. I just want to say something about the sets in this movie. The one thing you could see, and believe me, that's few and far between, is that some of the sets actually do look pretty nice. The castle sets actually look pretty nice. The ending scene set with the battle with the fairies, not so much. You can clearly tell she's standing in front of a green screen.
Oh, most definitely.
But other than that, I mean, some of them do look really nice. The rest of them are just covered in CG, and the movie is full of that bullshit. Trust me.
Like, the very first half of it, when they're flying over that village, it's so congested and bunched together that there's no possible way that people can live here. And I understand, outside of the United States and outside of my realm of where I live, there are places that look like this. But there's no fucking way that these villages are congested that much. Like, buildings are on top of each other and inside of each other. No way. That scene in particular, the CGI is just so unbelievably obnoxious that it makes you go, in the very first half, oh, this is gonna be awful.
Yeah, I would have loved more set design from this movie, but I just didn't get what I was looking for from it. Maybe the sequel will have better set design.
If we had to suffer through this one, I refuse to suffer through a sequel.
But we're gonna have to suffer through a sequel, Cari. Come on.
I can't do it.
This is what we do.
I can't do it. It's so bad.
Look, you're making me watch the Twilight movies, bro. Okay? I hate Twilight with a passion. Oh my god.
Okay, fine. We'll watch it. We'll watch the sequel.
Okay, okay. Back on track.
Awful
Ooh, ooh.
design aside, let's get into our non-existent character development.
Uh, okay.
I'll go first. Character development. My response, what character development? Where is it? What am I supposed to be looking out for? Now, yes, granted, I was distracted by Maleficent's intantalizing beauty, but even then, I look out for character development because I, as a character designer, love to see it, and it's what I look for in movies. I got none of that. There's missing information. Like Aurora, her backstory is licked. They lick the surface of her development, and there's nothing else. What happened to
I
her?
don't know if "lick" would be the right word.
I was waiting for them to describe her birth and how Maleficent. I'm assuming it's in the second half, but nonetheless, I'm not assuming for this movie because it doesn't deserve it. I was waiting for the infant scene. I was waiting for Maleficent to kind of give us like a foreshadowing, like a flashback to something, but there's no flashback. We don't see any of it. We we are supposed to assume a majority of the movie when you're doing character development, you don't want your audience to have to sit there and try and guess what your intentions were for this character. So character wise, there's nothing. There's missing information for characters, and the only real storyline that they gave us were the Faye's backstory, which I'm assuming that their main focal point was trying to be Maleficent and her backstory. But when you give us the tools of introducing our characters first, as introducing Aurora to us first, introducing Aurora's world to us first, we're given the assumption to guess that Aurora is supposed to be our main character when she's just a very important supporting character in the end and how it all boils down. That's it. We're supposed to focus on Maleficent, but we only get that during the very end, or bare minimum the beginning. So character wise, character development, there's nothing for me, and I'm unsatisfied yet again.
Okay, there is a little character development in the movie. Not a lot. It's a tiny bit of character development. There was character development for Maleficent. You understood her intentions. Her intentions were very clear. She wants to protect Aurora. She wants to protect her kingdom. The Queen's intentions, I want power. Stab. Oh, look. I hope you have a nice death. And walks away. That's all. That's her only intention is power. She even gets Rumpelstiltskin, who, by the way, is not in the IMDb. I checked.
I swear that that character is supposed to resemble Rumpelstiltskin, and I don't know why they didn't just go with that idea, but they made an entirely new character, so I'm upset about that as well.
I couldn't find his character name in the IMDb, so I'm just gonna call him Rumpelstiltskin.
Yeah, he was like a character that the Queen corrupted. I was paying a little attention to him, but he's just a simple character that the Queen corrupted.
But even he had some kind of backstory to him. You
And
understand why he was doing it. Aurora's like, I'm so pretty. Pay attention to me.
The one scene where she abandons her mother for the Queen and the King and her future husband, I was like, what? Why is she doing this? What is making this character forget all about the person that raised her and brought her up into her kingdom and made her queen, princess? I think she's
princess.
Queen. Whatever she is, gave you royalty status, and you just abandon her for a one-time family? What?
You know, that sounds a lot like Frozen, where Anna fell in love with with Prince Han, and then she went to go rescue her sister and left Prince Han's in charge.
And why the hell are we always giving our female characters a prince to fall upon, or in general to have as the savior of the day? Like, I understand Maleficent was the savior of the day, yes. But Aurora gave up everything for this man and his family for a person that gave her everything.
You see, that's the problem with Disney movies in general is all your problems are solved because a big strong man showed up.
And I know they're trying to change it because Frozen 2 gave us that whole new feel. And what's that one? Moana.
I strongly dislike Frozen 2, but we'll get into
Moana.
that. Oh my god, you like Moana? I hate Moana.
I love Moana because of the cultural significance of it. I haven't like done a deep dive of on the movie itself. I've just taken a liking to the movie because of the cultural significance. Because we need some more indigenous kind of representation.
I will agree with you on that, but my problems with Moana are not the indigenous references. My problems with it are much more than that.
Yeah, I haven't done a deep dive to the movie, which I think might be fun. Because I've only
Okay, so
watched it for
we'll
the
put it on the list. What do you guys think? Should we review Moana?
We should do a princess series in
Oh,
general.
dear Lord.
That
Is
would
that going
be
to
a
be
cute
before
little
or after
series.
you make me suffer through Twilight?
Oh, it's gonna be after Twilight because I want to talk about how weird the Twilight tropes are and how awful the acting in Twilight is, but how also weirdly compelling it is to watch because of how cliche it is. We'll get into the whole all that BS in our Twilight series, so stay tuned for literally all of them. Ooh, getting into the Twilight.
Okay.
Ah,
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, but
your take on characters.
my take on characters: Aurora is there to look pretty and nothing else. Prince Philip is there to say some lines, look pretty, and nothing else. The Queen is there because she wants power, and Michelle Pfeiffer, really? It's like she gave no shits about this role.
She didn't. She's like, money, I'm gonna do it. And I'm glad she did it for the coin and nothing more.
Yeah, she did it for the money and nothing more because she put literally no effort into it. Like she half-assed it from the get-go.
Oh, yeah.
And there are some characters that are really good. Maleficent is a really good character. Rumpelstiltskin is a really good character. Even that Raven dude, who I don't remember his name,
He's so
was
precious.
a good character. You still remember him after the film.
He's so precious.
Everyone else, like I won't even bother myself to learn the three fairies' name. I'm just gonna call them Snap, Crackle, and Pop.
Yeah, I didn't remember their names either. But their CGI is so frustrating. Like, they have such big
Frustrating
heads.
would be a word I would use, yes.
And they use, I'm assuming, they use kind of like a face cam effect. So they film their faces and their facial expressions. And I'm not sure. I'm gonna guess that they have the characters like act out these scenes like in like a motion suit, and they have them act out these kind of feels, but their proportions are just so frustrating. Like, I get stylizing your art style to fit, and I know there are artists out there that not personify, exaggerate. That's the word. Exaggerate these facial features. Like in my personal art, I exaggerate the eyes to make them bigger, the noses to make them a little bigger, the lips to make them bigger, like Afrocentric features, big ears. But when you're exaggerating things like really big heads and really small bodies, the way that they did it, where they gave them like this baby body, like a toddler body that's somewhat realistic to like human body, and gave them these exaggerated heads, and it's like, why? This looks gross. And their faces are of an older set of features, which makes it frustrating to look at. And I'm like, when are we going to stop it and see other things? It was just frustrating. I'm sorry. I couldn't look at it. It was frustrating.
Oh, I agree. I mean, I really do. But you know what? I gotta talk about the audio in this movie, man.
You haven't. Do your thing. Audio. How do you feel? Soundtrack.
Where do I start? Honestly, where do I start? The quality of this movie is fine. not amazing by any standards.
Yeah.
The audio quality is fine. I mean, it's there from start to finish. The Foley audio doesn't really work too well. It takes you out of the experience of the movie. It
Yeah.
feels like when something hits the ground, there's a delay, just small delay.
I feel like
Um,
I feel like their intentions were trying to set us in the scene of like a fairy tale with their exaggerated like sound effects, because I love the like
yeah,
whimsical sound effects that you get in the different environments and stuff like that. But then once you get into the realm of kind of realism, like the castle scenes when Maleficent's blowing out the candles, like you feel a delay in like the emotions that they do in comparison to the audio, which is just a little off and a little weird.
right. I mean, the Foley audio is just it's just okay. I mean, there's slight delays to it. The soundtrack, however, is super bland and on
Yeah.
just like wholly forgettable. It's just I can even hum a single track now, and
Like
it's
I
been
said,
2 days.
like we've watched it, and I'm like, I can't remember if there was a song, or I can't remember what the song sounded like. Like you can hum the song from the movie and be like, guess where this is from. I would not guess Maleficent.
Like you can hum the Back to the Future theme at any time in your life, and you know it by heart, even if you've only seen the movie one time.
Hmm.
But the soundtrack in this movie is just awful.
This movie itself is just so unforgettable. Like there's things that after watching it, I wouldn't be able to remember at all.
Like I literally can't remember any track from this movie. It's like every fantasy soundtrack ever, and
Yeah.
they just took certain songs from every fantasy movie.
Like I don't wish that they would have composed something new, um, because there are existing soundtracks that are unutilized in the film industry that would have been perfectly suited for this movie, and would have made it give it that extra oomph that we're looking for. But they just took the generic popular music of fantasy, that is well composed, yes, but it's just not memorable for this film when you're giving us these extra dynamics and you give us a general simplistic soundtrack. Like they put emphasis on the visuals without realizing that auditorial effects emphasize and change the visuals.
Yeah. Um, I honestly don't know about this movie. The actors are just so bad. I can't remember a single actor's name other than Michelle Pfeiffer and Angelina Jolie.
I
I
feel
just I
bad
can't.
because for films like
Like
this, sometimes the actors and the actresses aren't even the problem. It's just they have shit to work with. And yes, the actors that are the most memorable did give us a show, but the movie as a whole doesn't justify that for them. And I feel like it was just kind of in some way a money grab. Like, yes, some actors probably aren't as popular as like Angelina Jolie, but when you put
right,
them
of
in these
course.
films that are butt ass awful, it doesn't. It just makes it like, I guess it can be good and bad for them because coming from this movie and going into better ones, you leveled up, girl.
Right. I mean, okay, so like my main character I have a problem with is Prince Philip.
I don't like it. I don't like him.
I he feels him and Aurora, their chemistry feels like if you poured week old Sprite on baking soda. I
It's
mean,
just it's just too seen in the media. We see it too much, especially in princess films or in royalty films. We see the trope: the outcast marries the kind of well received character, and they kind of have a roaring relationship. We see it. That's
oh,
great.
it's Beauty and the Beast. Oh,
Literally,
excuse me.
It's literally
I
done,
believe I had some Disney in my throat.
especially in Disney films. They use this trope so much. And you've given your creative freedom in this movie. We're getting a new dynamic on the entire Aurora film, like the entire movie. We get insight on Maleficent and X, Y, and Z. So why didn't you change that stereotypical trope that you do in every film? Why did you keep it? You change
Because we
that.
want to keep it.
Like it's Listen to us, Disney. We don't want it. We want something new. Give us new things. We're sick of the old.
You realize that Disney is going to hear this and go, duh, okay.
They don't listen.
Here's more of the same.
Listen,
Like the
Disney.
Lion King.
I want you to listen to me, and I want you to take what I'm saying to heart. I grew up with you. Many of us grew up watching your films, your history. It's inspiring to an artist. When I was in high school, I did my research on you for graduating. I used you as my point of reference for graduation. Granted, you don't have a great past, understandable, but your work has a place in my heart. So listen to me when I tell you that you need some form of change. Eras are changing, the world is changing, we're getting into a new era. So use those to your advantage. You might lose an audience, but you might gain 1,000 times that number that you're losing. Just saying.
Yeah. All these relationships in Disney films, they feel flatter than a pancake on a summer sidewalk.
It's like,
I am an outcast. I like to read Beauty and the Beast. I'm an outcast. I like to think. Snow White. I'm an outcast. I hold a special civilization. What was that movie? The one with Michael J. Fox. Not Treasure Planet, but the other one.
I don't remember.
I'm sure I'll think of it eventually.
I feel like we're
You
gonna
guys know
end
the
the
movie I'm
episode and
talking
think
about.
about it.
The one with Michael J. Fox. I don't remember the name of it.
I'm trying to
But
think
yes,
so hard.
all those movies, all those tropes, like Pocahontas and Beauty and the Beast and Little Mermaid, all of them had the same freaking trope. I'm a princess, I fall in love with a man.
But listen, because I love me some history. The significance of the original Brothers Grimm versions of these stories, it gave us that, damn, I love them. And then Disney took that adaptation and they kind of cutified it, which is great. But you could have left in a little bit of that sadness and a little bit of that, oh shit, that makes me think about my current life, you know? I want to do the Brothers Grimm series so bad, but we'll Maleficent for now.
Okay, so final rant. What do you think about this awful movie?
Here's my take. So, since the movie didn't give us the content, we will make it. Okay. Here we go. There are no best parts, unfortunately. Even though there are some things that I liked about this movie, there is nothing that significantly stands out for me to be able to 100% go, yeah, I'll watch this on my free time. Nothing. I feel like the actors could have been good if they would have given us a little more to work with. But all in all, it feels bad. It movies give me a feeling, right? When you're watching them, movies give you a feeling. And they put off a set emotion. And this movie gives me dryness, and it just gives me, let's make something that the audience wants, but let's not give them what they're wanting, you know? So, for me, this film has so much potential, like any other film that has ever been made. Although there are some films that don't have potential at all. Anyways, this film has the potential to be something great simply because of its past and its significance in the lives of thousands, if not millions, if not of people. So it has the potential to be good, but it's just nothing. We have bad choices. this movie has so many bad choices that I can't count on my fingers and toes. I don't have that many hair strands in my head to name the amount of bad choices that this movie made. There's tons of missing information that make you question if this is a singular movie in and of itself, or if they just forgot to add something because they were like, oh shit, last minute project, let's put something together. I had to check if I was missing a movie in the series. If I picked this movie, unfortunately. So you guys can hate me with that one. But I picked this
Yeah,
movie and I was
yeah,
like,
you
shit.
did pick this movie.
I was like, did I miss a movie in the series? Am I missing something? No, it's just shit. There's too many predictabilities at the end. Like, it's so predictable. Like, I felt like I was watching something that I made, and I was like, yep, this is gonna happen. I was like, oh, it did happen. Like, there wasn't anything that made me question, like, is this going to happen? No, it was like, this is going to happen. I know the end. Other than her being turned into a goat, I was kind of assuming Maleficent would, like, make her into a different creature, you know. But she changed her
Like a
nonetheless.
pig?
Like a pig or something that's, like, defenseless,
More
but all.
fitting.
Exactly. Like, something that's bullshit, like the queen herself is. But there's nothing. And my last gripe that made me almost fight this movie, that made me almost throw my phone, that made me almost question if I was an existing human or if I was going to turn into an animal, was the dragon scene. Now, I was waiting for a dragon. Moo scared the shit out of me, and she was like, there is no dragon, or there's not going to be a transformation. I was like, please don't tell me that I suffered through this movie not to see a dragon. And I got a phoenix. And I'm like, okay, I'll take it. It's a transformation. They're kind of similar, you know, but I just wanted a dragon so bad.
You had one job, Disney. One.
And the dragon has so much significance. Like, don't get me wrong, the phoenix is powerful. And the way that they surround the character Maleficent and changing the features from dragon wings to like a bird's featured wings, which is like understandable. But you could have given us a dragon. That's how things were in the original. I'm gonna double check. I'm gonna double check just to see if it was a dragon, because I'm 100% sure that it was a dragon. So I'm not, missing information. But I wish there was a dragon so bad, and they gave me something, but it wasn't what I was looking for. So I'm not pissed off, but I'm upset.
So what's your final rating of Maleficent?
So in my opinion, my final rating for this movie is going to have to be a whopping 2.5 out of 10 stars for the Cari index.
Okay, my final rant is a little less angry. I think that some of the sets in this movie are beautiful. I think that some of the CGI with the backgrounds look really nice. But the rest of the movie just kind of drags on, and I agree with you about the dragon. I mean, come on. One job. Disney, that's all you had, is one fucking job. You go on. She could have returned and used her magic to hatch a dragon egg. You could have literally written a dragon egg into the story, and nothing would have changed.
Mm-hmm.
It would have made a better movie, but nothing would have changed. Look, I know that I've ragged on this movie a lot, but if you have little kids who this is their very first fantasy movie, it's fine. Whatever. They're not going to get a lot of the subtleties out of it. They're just going to be like, oh, this is super pretty. Ooh, fairies are flying. Yeah, cool, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're an avid movie lover, such as myself and Cari, avoid this movie. It's not worth your time or your Disney Plus service.
It's not. Like,
I'm going to give...
I know they tailor these movies to a younger audience, which is why they've made the adaptations that they have. But viewing this as watching the original and coming back to it to see how they can remake a live action of it, it's disappointing and it makes me sad.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get Maleficent, Mistress of Evil. Yeah. 4 popcorn kernels out of 10.
4.
So our collective rating is 3.
I'll go 3. I won't even go 3.5. I'll just do 3.
Yeah, it's not very good, guys.
Here's what we'll do. Okay, we're not gonna do this
So,
for other episodes. I'm not, because I'm not gonna be that well with them. But for this one, if you're an adult like us who have watched the original series, we're gonna give this a 3 rating. That's gonna be our collective rating for that. Now, on the off chance that we do have a younger audience, which I know it will inevitably happen, how would you rate this movie for someone who's not seen the original and this is their fantasy film and they love fantasy movies and this is just going to be another in their collection?
yeah, let us know, guys, in the comments below. Tell us what you think of us, whether it's good or bad. We love all comments. And as always, thank you guys so much for listening. Please feel free to like and subscribe. And we'll catch you guys in the next episode. Bye bye.
Adios, my friends.